It's been known for quite a few diverse things over the years. At one time it was hippies. At one time it was the cable cars. At one time it was the place that everybody seemed to want to go to blow off some steam after they discovered gold. It is known for its support of alternative lifestyles. The Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz Island, Fisherman's Wharf, the cable cars, and the list goes on and on. Tonight, Unattended Dundee visits the city by the bay, San Francisco.
Way out there, you can just see the tip of Alcatraz. And I was told, you have to go see Alcatraz. It's something you need to do with your significant other. That would be Paul. Anyway, so we really wanted to go. And when we got here on Monday, they said the next trip that you could take was next Sunday. Well, we are going to leave on Saturday, so that kind of leaves Sunday out. So as we were walking by, we got kind of suckered into one of those vacation deals where you go to the timeshares and you view them, but you got free trips to Alcatraz on Tuesday. So we came here and we saw it, and it was a beautiful, beautiful timeshare, but it makes more sense for us to come out here and rent a hotel room than to get involved with one of these timeshares. However, we got a trip to Alcatraz, the walking guided tour, and the audio tour, and a bay cruise for doing this, plus lunch. Now I'm going to go visit a puppy dog.
Wake up to reality, but each time I do, the thought of you makes me stop before I begin. When I've got you under my skin.
Alcatraz Island history includes serving as a military fortification in the 1850s, an incarceration facility for the Spanish-American War prisoners, and a federal maximum security prison from 1934 through 1963.
Hi, we're on Alcatraz. Alcatraz only had 3 escapes in the entire time that it was open, from 1934 until 1963. This is actually where they brought Al Capone, but he was only here 5 years before he succumbed to, he had a VD. They also had Machine Gun Kelly here, and they had Robert Stroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz. A lot of other people too. The 3 men that escaped, they don't know if they survived because nobody ever heard from them ever again. They're doing a showing or an exhibit of older people in jail or older people in penitentiaries. And it's sad to see people 81 years old still in jail. But some of them committed murders and things when they were in their 70s.
Today, Alcatraz Island is now a popular visitor destination as a part of the Golden Gate National Recreation Area in San Francisco. Voted one of the top tours in the United States of America, there's an eerie silence as you wear headsets and walk around Alcatraz prison and hear the history. Now, from 1969 to 1971, Alcatraz Island was seized and occupied by a group of American Indians, trying to protest against the Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Right now you can just see that you're isolated. You can hear the caws of the seagulls. And they said the saddest thing was seeing life out there just existing when they looked out of the dining room windows.
Most visitors that come to San Francisco wind up at Fisherman's Wharf. Here you can find shopping and seafood, restaurants, family entertainment, hotels, motels, art galleries, and great ice cream. It also has an aquatic park on one end and Pier 39 on the other, and views of scenic San Francisco's Bay and Alcatraz.
Why, if we just ate, am I getting hungry? Paul says it's because I shopped a lot. Maybe. Could be that they have all this fresh fish that you can buy on the sidewalk being boiled or broiled or deep fried. Deep fried. Calamari, clams, shrimp, fish. I'm really getting hungry.
After having a successful trolley line in San Francisco for years, in 1982, a trolley festival was held. It was decided that the F-line would continue. This trolley car comes from Illinois and is green and cream. The F-line would use old, retired, or refurbished trolley cars from all over the United States. This bright yellow vehicle comes from the Los Angeles Railway, 1937. This orange trolley was once used here in San Francisco around the turn of the century. Any good deals?
2 for $20? Who knew? Sweatshirts. Oops. I was talking to my friend, and I said, if you do that, you're going to look like a real goofball. Are you listening? Nobody wants to hear it. When you say things like that, you're going to get in trouble. I can't believe that somebody didn't listen to me when I said something like that.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I know it's been 12 hours, but just a minute. Finally, one of the last, well, maybe 6 from the end of things I have to tell you was that, what's the matter? You look at me a little peaked. And you said you were hungry about 3 hours ago, but come on, you can live with this.
Totally didn't see that one.
These are the California sea lions, and they hauled out on Pier 39's K-Dock shortly after the 1989 San Francisco earthquake. These sea lions started taking over the docks in 1990, and at first there was 10 to 50 of them, but because there's so much herring in the bay here and available dock space for them and a protected environment, the population grew to more than 300 within a couple of months. Each winter, the sea lion population grows as high as 600. The sea lions tend to migrate to the Channel Islands about 350 miles south during the summer, but now a small group chooses to stay at Pier 39 throughout the year. A woman named Lily Hitchcock Coit was a philanthropist and an admirer of the firefighters of the 1906 earthquake, and she left funds to the city to beautify San Francisco. Those funds were used to build Coit Tower. Lombard Street in San Francisco is called the world's crookedest street. Standing at the top looking down Lombard gives you a nice view of San Francisco Bay, Coit Tower, Bay Bridge. Lombard Street is steep and hilly, and it was created with sharp curves to switch back down the one-way hill past good-looking Victorian mansions. It's amazing as cars try and manipulate their way down the street. If not for the curves in the street, people would be killed rolling down. It's that steep. For an idea of how steep the street really is, if you go 2 blocks up to Filbert Street and look down over the ridge, Lombard Street is even steeper. Some of the classiest and most expensive real estate in the city exists on Lombard Street. This Russian Hill neighborhood somehow possesses mansions and condos and townhouses, even with the endless array of tourists pouring down the street every day. In the spring and through the entire summer, Lombard Street is alive with color, as the chrysanthemums as well as other tended flowers are in full bloom. From the bottom looking up, you see cars headed down slowly and people daring themselves to walk up as well and down the sides. Lombard Street is not only the crookedest street, it continues in both directions, going all the way east up Telegraph Hill to Coit Tower and continuing west down through the marina, where it becomes the major conduit to the Golden Gate Bridge. At last, San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge. After more than 4 years of construction at a cost of $35 million, the Golden Gate Bridge opened to vehicle traffic in May of 1937, ahead of schedule and under budget. The bridge links San Francisco with Marin County. The 1.7-mile-long suspension bridge can be crossed by car, on bicycle, or on foot.
Hi, we're on the Golden Gate Bridge. We were talking to some cops yesterday and they said so many people jump off, 1 out of 100 or so survived. And they call it something different. They don't call it a 156 now, they call it like a failed 155 and a half or something like that, because anybody jumping off is not going to survive.
How often is the bridge painted? Well, there's a lot of misconceptions existing about how often the bridge is painted. Some say once every 7 years, and others say from end to end each year. Actually, the bridge was painted when it was originally built. For the next 27 years, only touch-up paint was required. By 1965, advancing corrosion sparked a program to remove the original paint and replace it with an inorganic zinc silicate primer and acrylic emulsion top coat. The program was completed in 1995, and the bridge will continue to require routine touch-up painting on an ongoing basis.
By little bikers with ring rings.
The Golden Gate Bridge has always been painted orange vermilion, deemed international orange. The architect, Irving Morrow, selected the distinctive orange color because it blends well with the span's natural setting, as it's a warm color consistent with the warm colors of the land masses in the setting is distinct from the cool colors of the sky and the sea. It also provides enhanced visibility for passing ships. If the United States Navy had its way, the bridge might have been painted black and yellow stripes to assure even greater visibility for passing ships. San Francisco fog. Advection fog forms when humid air from the Pacific Ocean swoops over the chilly California current, flowing parallel to the coast. That fog hugs the ground, and then the warm, moist air condenses as it moves across the bay or land. This is common near any coastline. The bridge has an influence in directing the fog as it pushes up and pours down around the bridge. Sometimes, high pressure squashes it close to the ground. By the way, the color of the bridge is international orange, as I mentioned, and it was chosen in part because of its visibility in fog situations. about a 3-mile hike north of the Golden Gate Bridge is Sausalito. Well, the bus never came to pick us up, so right now we're hoofing it. We're walking to Sausalito. Well, we're about probably half a mile from Sausalito, and we're in between a gorge here. They carved out a gorge here to put the highway in. Pretty nice. It's on the southeastern tip of Marin County. Sausalito was incorporated in 1893 and named by 18th century Spanish explorers for the little willow trees, which means Sausalito, which were all over here in abundance. Now we're about a quarter mile to Sausalito, and it's time to take another video shot. You can see the mountains on both sides with the cutout of the gorge and the ocean.
We made it. 4-mile walk. We made it.
Sausalito covers a mere 2.5 miles. It's a small town of only 7,500 residents. On this particular day, we hiked from the bridge through the winding hills down to Sausalito.
That's somebody's garage, and then they walk down the stairs and their house is down below them. Right?
Along the way, we saw magnificent houses built into the side of the hills, as well as the homes that were accessible by the roadway, but an elevator was needed to get the people up to their houses on the hills.
I think it's beautiful. It reminds me of St. Martin. It's different than San Francisco because all the houses aren't connected to each other. But they'll take one house and have made it into 6 apartments with just parking for maybe 4 cars. So you just kind of wonder.
It looks a lot like the Caribbean or the Mediterranean at times. It has great views. It's easy to compare it to those places. But mostly I found Sausalito to be a quiet, comfortable, relaxing place to enjoy lunch or a cool drink. On our way into town, we walked along the waterway and watched the sea lions and took a rest in the plaza and listened to the splashing fountain. At the end of our day in Sausalito, we took the ferry boat back to San Francisco to the ferry building. San Francisco cable cars are not driven along the road, they're towed along the track. Cables move the cars, and although the cable cars have batteries to light them up, they don't operate under their own power and can only move by gripping onto the moving cable. There's a total of 40 cable cars in the system. On an average day in San Francisco, there's a maximum of about 26 cars in operation at one time. There are two types of cable cars. There's single-ended and double-ended cars. The single-ended cars run on the Powell-Mason line and the Powell-Hyde lines, and they must be turned on a turntable at the end of the line. Double-ended cars operate on the California Street line. These cars are not turned at the end of the line since they can be operated from either end. In this building, the cable barn, this is the machinery that makes the cables move. All the machines here that you see make the cables move continuously. The large boxes below contain electric motors and gears which turn large pulleys called sheaves. And the motors and gears and sheaves are called winding machinery. The cables are always moving too. They're moving at about 9.5 miles per hour all day long. There's 4 separate cables. Each contains a loop that moves in channels under the streets that's supported by hundreds of small pulleys and some of the larger sheaves. These sheaves work together to move the cable. It seems like they're moving in opposite directions. Well, the driving sheave is powered by the motor. An idler sheave provides more surface contact for the cable. As the cable loops in a figure-8 pattern, there's more friction on the cable, and the friction between the cable and the sheaves allow the cable to move. Before cable cars, horse-drawn cars were used for transportation in San Francisco. But horses were expensive to care for, and they couldn't climb many of the city's really steep hills. Because of the grueling work, those horses only lasted a few years. Another problem was the disposal of tons and tons of horse manure in the streets. The design of a continuously moving cable system was a welcome solution. Now, from 1888 to 1911, the winding machinery in this building was powered by steam engines. Giant boilers at the back of the powerhouse produced the needed steam. The chimney you see in the picture here from this steam system is still in place on the building, although the chimney is a little bit shorter these days due to the 1906 earthquake. California cable car line takes you to Chinatown. It begins at a dragon-crested gate at Grant Avenue and Bush Street. And that was a gift from China in 1969. San Francisco's oldest street, Grant Avenue, runs 8 blocks through the center of America's ethnic capital, where there's over 1.5 million people of Chinese descent. This is the Sing Chong building, and it was one of the first places rebuilt after the 1906 earthquake. Chinatown has many open markets on Stockton Street and a lot of little alleys between Grant and Stockton. If you skip those, you'll miss some of the best parts of Chinatown. Well, that's about it for Unattended Dundee this week. From San Francisco, have a good night.